And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here. More coming up from Miller's Mission at the Nampa Walmart, Garrity and Franklin. Karen Strachan joining us now to talk a little bit about, well, the NFL and cheerleading. Karen, good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
So,
the bad news, or potentially bad news. No more cheerleaders, really? That's where we're at now?
Well, look, we need you to give us that in-depth team analysis. What's going on?
Oh, what's going on is the feminists in the UK seem to have a fair amount of success getting rid of or convincing sports organizations to get rid of attractive female, employees like grid girls and ring girls and stuff like that. And I think that the feminists in the U.S. are trying to see if they might be able to pull the same thing off here. The feminists, since the second wave, have really had a bit of they've really been annoyed with the entire idea of cheerleading, all the way back to, just sort of the 1960s and 1970s. So, they feel that it subordinates women. It makes the woman's role as cheerleader subordinate to the man's role as athlete. They believe that it objectifies women. They believe it provides unhealthy role models for girls. They believe it demeans the women, and these women who compete very, very aggressively for those rare spots that open up at the professional level. That these women are being sort of taken advantage of and exploited, and so they basically just want to get rid of the entire thing. It's an extremely sex-negative attitude, but it really just is hand in glove with second-wave feminism.
And is anybody buying into this? Have we had the corporations going, oh, yeah, we don't need the cheerleaders anymore?
Well, that's what happened in the UK. With car racing, they did decide to get rid of grid girls, or they have been seriously considering it, other sports organizations. So they really are looking into, and they got rid of Page 3. There was a national newspaper in the UK that used to have, here in Edmonton, Alberta, we have the Sunshine Girl in the Edmonton Sun on, that it's a different girl. She poses.
Now, hold on, Karen. I'm sorry,
hold
on, Karen. I'm sorry. I pardon the interruption here, but just the name, the Sunshine Girl, makes people smile. And I've never seen the Sunshine Girl, but I'm sorry. I'm fixated with that name, the Sunshine Girl.
Yeah, well, it goes with the Edmonton Sun, right? So, yeah. and girls, young women like to be attractive. They like to be attractive to men. They enjoy that. I think that, again, these sort of extremely sex-negative second wavers who are, essentially required reading in women's studies classes and things like that these days, Catherine McKinnon, Andrea Dworkin, those types, Susan Brown Miller, they figured that once women were freed from the sexual shackles, sexual liberation wasn't necessarily in their minds, supposed to turn into some kind of free-for-all, Caligula-style, anything goes thing. I think that they felt that once marriage was no longer a requirement for women, or mostly a requirement for women, that women would simply choose to not be sexual, or they would choose to, at the very least, reject men and reject all of the sort of standards that men have in terms of what they find attractive and things like that. And they would essentially all just become unattractive, cat-loving feminists, I guess. So.
Right. A whole new meaning to the word pom-poms. VoiceForMen.com is where you contribute. What about men? Is it over for men?
No, I don't think so. Men are actually starting to fight back. The gender war, I would not have called it a gender war up until about maybe 8-9 years ago. It was really just a one-sided barrage of attack from feminists against men. And men are actually starting to stand up and go, hey, now you're pushing it too far, and we're going to push back a little bit. So I think that it's not all over for men. It just really depends on how well we can raise awareness for some of the issues that impact men, and some of the ways that the feminist movement has exploited, people's instincts and their attitudes. So
right,
yeah.
but I mean, you see it on television, the guy's the wimp. You see it in popular culture where the female is the alpha. Now, I'm an amateur historian. I don't know of any world organizations that were conquered by, Alexandria the Great. And I'm not going to, people, well, that's chauvinistic, but I mean, we've replaced men with women, it seems, in popular culture. And of course, that's very impressionable on the roles that we live today.
Well, one of the things, too, that people are probably unaware of, you hear all these kind of sentiments about how if women ran the world, it would be a kinder, gentler, nicer, sweeter place where there would be no war. Europe's queens have actually been shown to have been 27% more likely to wage war than Europe's kings through history. There is nothing kinder and gentler about a woman who ends up in charge of a country. I mean, you can even look at modern women leaders. They're no less likely to be hawkish than men are. So, this whole idea that that women, I guess the feminine spirit, that delicate, fragile, loving, nurturing feminine spirit is actually going to be able to ascend a hierarchy to be in charge of a country. I don't think that that's actually something that's going to happen. It requires a particular type of character and a particular set of personality traits in order to do that. And I think that generally men are more likely to have those. But I also think that the women who do make it to the top, like Margaret Thatcher, are essentially, feminists call her an honorary man. They say she's not a real woman. Or
do they say that about Hillary Clinton?
No, but Hillary Clinton's a weird, she really harnessed that whole sexism card. She played it constantly. And one thing that, I was really dreading, in terms of if Hillary might win, is if you have a leader in that kind of position of power, and whenever they're criticized, they can pull out a card and say, you're just being sexist, and dismiss your criticism just right off the bat. That's really essentially, do we not want leaders who it's okay to criticize? Because that's kind of like what's going on in, what went on in Soviet Russia. That's what goes on in dictatorships. You're not allowed to criticize the leader. So.
Well, Karen, we appreciate you. We're an admirer of your work, and we'd love to have you back.
I'd love to come back.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We're joined by the Reverend Bill Roscoe of the Boise Rescue Mission and our friend Corey, who joins us. Last year she was with us. This year she's been reassigned, but we appreciate her being with us as well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing so good I can hardly believe it, Miller. If you cut my suspenders, I'll go straight up. That's how I feel this morning.
All right.
And it's great to see Corey. I see Corey all the time because she's working over the ministry center in Boise, and I have an office there, unbeknownst to some people.
Well, thanks for letting us know about that, Reverend Bill.
I do go to Boise, and it's good to see her and have her back with us in the Miller's Mission tent.
Sure.
And thank you again, Kevin, for your dedication to our cause. We really, really appreciate you. There are few people like you in media anywhere in this country, and especially here in the Treasure Valley. We really appreciate it.
There are few people like our friends and neighbors at the Boise Rescue Mission, BoiseRM.org. So, Corey, what brought you to the Rescue Mission? This is something that you and I have practically lived together last November, getting to know each other, getting to know the Treasure Valley, and you have a very special story, a special calling of what brought you to the Rescue Mission and why you work with our friend John in the warehouse.
Good morning, Kevin. Glad to be back. 2 years ago I volunteered at the banquets and fell in love with the people that we were serving. And it just changed my heart. I thought I was going to go there to change their life, but they changed my life. And so I started applying for jobs, and the Boise Rescue Mission had one open, and started working for the events department. And this spring I transferred over to the warehouse department.
But why would you do that? You're a successful small businesswoman. You've got a family that keeps you busy. You got a big commute from the budding metropolis of Star. And you've dedicated yourself to helping others more for a spiritual return on investment than a material one.
Yeah.
Why?
I love giving to others. I like helping people in need.
What does that help look like? Can you share that with us?
There's a variety of things. It can be the clothing. It can be, they're talking about the sheets and the pillows and mattress pad covers, towels. Sometimes it's just sitting down with them and praying with them when they come in to pick up stuff from the warehouse, when they have a food box that they need, or they need clothing items. There's so many things out there that we just bless them with at the mission.
And Reverend Bill, when you take a look at the summer, obviously a challenge every day is a challenge. You have great friends like Corey that come in, that work for you, that work for the community. But again, we're not talking about government funding. We're not talking about, hey, you can get this or that. It's due to the folks here in the Treasure Valley that really fund these programs, that give you the opportunity to hire someone like our friend Corey or John or Kelsey or whomever that can work with these folks, that can give these kids that ray of sunshine.
And that's why I keep saying, Kevin, that this is the most generous community on the face of the earth, because I've been here 16 years, and you look back to 16 years ago and what we were doing and who we were and you know what the ministry was like, and then look at it today, and it's significantly different in that we're serving more people in a larger variety of ways than I ever dreamed. Really, I guess I dreamed we could do this, but I didn't really expect it to come to fruition as quickly as it has.
Right, but it continues. That need continues.
And the need continues, and that's the reason for the growth. You know, we haven't grown just so we'd have more buildings and more staff and more of this or that. We've grown because the need has grown. Back in those days, we would serve 100, 125 people overnight. Today, we're serving almost 500 every single night. In those days, we served 200, 300, 400 meals a day, and today we're serving 1,000 meals a day.
And that's really something that we do want to remind folks of. That's 1,000 meals to come up with, not only for your guests at the shelter, but we're talking about the working poor that instead of, going somewhere and spending $5, $6, $7 for lunch, that they can come, they can get a lunch, maybe they can get a dinner, get fueled up, go back to work, maybe work that second or third job, and that expense of nourishment is taken care of for them.
It is, and that's a good point too, Kevin, that not everyone who has those 1,000 meals a day is homeless. We serve a lot of people from our neighborhoods who are not homeless. And the other thing is, when we talk about our children's programs and we talk about 40 to 60 kids a day showing up and being part of our summer-long day camp, some of those kids aren't homeless anymore. Their moms went through our program or stayed at the mission, had a connection with us,
right,
and they come back and bring their children back for the summer program, but they're still, they're not living in homelessness, but they're right on the edge. And mom can't afford daycare, and those kids would be latchkey kids.
Well, and daycare ain't cheap anywhere.
It's not cheap anywhere.
Right.
But we do it very economically. We don't do it cheaply. We do it very economically. We're very efficient.
Well, and then these after-school programs that are funded as well to give these kids the proper education.
And the homework club, where moms go upstairs in the learning center with the children and learn how to do the homework with the kids, how to go online and talk to the teachers. All of that happens at the Boise Rescue Mission.
Right.
Teen program is amazing at the Boise Rescue Mission. I help Kelsey out with that every week. We take the kids out and we show them.
What's that like for you, being around all those kids?
Keeps her young.
It does. It keeps you young, and it makes me happy. They bring life to me. So once again, I thought I'd be there to help them, but they help me constantly. They remind me daily that there is a path that they can go on. We help them realize that there's a change that they can do. When you're sitting there, like Bill is saying, that there's families that have gone through the program that are trying to get out there and succeed in life, and when we take them out on these events, you see these kids come when their parents come to pick up our teens and they don't have socks on, they don't have shoes on, because the parents are trying so hard to change their direction where they were at. And we get to see that at the mission. Sorry, I'm going to get emotional. It's amazing that
Nothing
we can help
wrong
them.
with being emotional. We need that. You're rooting for them.
Yes, and it's just amazing knowing that we can bless them there at the mission because of supporters like people that are listening today. And Kevin Miller and their team. It's just amazing. We can't do this on our own.
Well, it's really just George and Austin today, but and our friend Ray Amaya back at the broadcast center. But back to what you're saying, speak to people directly right now and ask them to help.
the teens and the children at the facility need your help. They are the foundation for the future. They need direction. They need
$20 makes a big difference.
It does. It makes a huge difference. People seem to think that if it's a big dollar amount, it's going to make a big difference, and little dollar amounts don't mean anything. Socks mean the world to these kids. You know, like there's talking about the clean pillowcase, the sheets. I mean, just think about that when you got into that bed and it's so clean and it's cozy compared to sleeping in dirty, nasty, wet, cold stuff. Just
or
a
in
little
a car.
thing. Yes, just little
or
things
in the bushes.
do make a big difference.
Thank you, folks. BoiseRM.org. We'll be here tonight till 7. We're at the Garrity Walmart, or you can drop off anything at any of the fine locations in the Treasure Valley. We so appreciate all of you. Make our community so much better. Won't you join us and make a difference? Close for Kids. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning, covering the news that matters to you. If you missed this, our friend Democratic Congressman Al Green, no, not the singer Al Green, has called on the impeachment of Donald Trump, saying he's spoken to a GOP member of Congress who's strongly considering impeachment. Oh, yeah, and get this, at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, the Democrats say that if they get control, they're going to impeach the president.
I asked you about what you heard from Democratic leadership. What have you heard from Republicans on your efforts?
I have actually had, and when you say what I'm about to say, people will wonder, well, who was it and when was it said? But I've actually had a Republican member who said, you know, I'm strongly considering impeachment now. And I can only say to you that my suspicion is that there are a good many others who believe that we've reached that point in our history. But it's a difficult bridge for some to cross. For me, it is really not about the difficulty as much as it is about the necessity to do something about an unfit president.
There we have it, a president who's bringing peace to the Koreas, a president who has helped us so much with employment. We really need his help with gas prices, that has made America great again. He's unfit. Really? Where does that fall under the Constitution for high crimes and misdemeanors? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to 580 AM 107.5 FM KIDO Talk Radio, where we give you traffic and weather together. KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning. So here you have it, the plan to get the president. Really, what has the president done? One can go back and look at what former President Obama did through executive orders, through executive fiat, through making things up as he went, and nothing happened to him. Never mind the IRS, the NSA, Lois Lerner, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, the Hillary Clinton emails and everything else, and yet they're going after President Trump. We'll talk about that next. By the way, if you're out and about, we're going to be here tonight till 7. Well, I'll be living here thanks to our friends at Camping World. Where's here? I'm glad you asked. We're at the Nampa Walmart, Garrity Boulevard, and Franklin Avenue in Nampa. We would love for you to stop by, visit, and donate clothes for kids, helping our friends at the Boise Rescue Mission. By the way, at KIDOTalkRadio.com, and blog I put up recently, how Brad Little won the Idaho GOP primary. We will take a look at that next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good. So Teen Job Corps is a program that's offered by Boise Rescue Mission for teens who are old enough to work, that they're able to get job skills. First of all, they're placed somewhere within the mission that they get to do part-time work. So they get job skills working as administrative assistants in the kitchen with the kids, and they get to earn a little bit of money. So it teaches them responsibility, job skills, to be able to respect authority. They touch on resume writing and stuff really young with the kids. So those things are huge. The kids go swimming, I think, twice a week. I think Mondays and Wednesdays they go to the pools in the area, the YMCA, the Boise City public pools, and that's part of kids program that kids are in that program from 8 to 4 while moms work. So the moms that are in the Valley Women and Children Shelter as well as City Light and my kids too. And it's a huge money saver to be able to have the kids go to kids program and not have to pay that $700 a month in childcare costs that arise when school ends. And some kids just don't have those things, those flip-flops or, beach towels or swimsuits. And when they come into kids program, they make sure that every kid has what they need to do the activity that's planned for the day. So every child is fitted in a swimsuit and flip-flops and a beach towel. So they're ready to go swimming or to camp with their swimsuit or whatever the activity is for the day. That is one of the most amazing feelings ever, and I wish everybody in the community could see a child's face light up when they get brand new Nikes or they get a brand new outfit. And some of the children that we work with rarely ever get stuff that is brand new. So to see how excited that they get and to hear the giggle in their laugh, and they're bouncing around and they're super excited and they run up to their parents and they're like, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, look at my shoes." It's something that I think people take for granted if you're able to give that stuff to your kids. Again, I just wish that there are two faces that I wish that everybody could see. One is the face of a mom when she gets told that her kids can go to kids program and she doesn't have to pay that $700 a month. And the other one is the face of the child when they get that brand new outfit and shoes. That's huge when mom receives a new life, because not only does she improve in her parenting skills and her ability to raise her kids and break the cycle of poverty and homelessness, but kids, they get stability and they get happiness and they get things that they didn't know before, regular bedtimes, love, a situation that's not yelling and stress about food and clothing, and you see it in our shelters when moms come in and they're stressed out about the next meal or how they're going to get school supplies or how they're going to pay for childcare. And then as they start to receive these things and they understand that the mission is walking alongside them, that things start to come down. It comes down a level and they're not angry and they're not anxiety. And that we're able to bring new skills to them, skills about recovery, parenting classes, and things that they need to develop to get better.
And here we are. Your donations make a difference at the Walmart on Garrity and Franklin Boulevard in Nampa. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KAUDIO. So you did hear people saying that the GOP or someone, they're looking to impeach the president. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up. Do want to remind everybody to stop by. We've got Terry from State College, Pennsylvania, Tea Party Bob, Cindy from Caldwell. The celebrities continue to stop by. Liberal Steve started us off this morning, and our great friend Annie as well. It's wonderful to see the community coming together. Really, Reverend Bill, before Memorial Day, for many folks, it's the start of the summer, but for others that remember the people that paid the ultimate price. We live in such a beautiful country that we, take a look at Memorial Day as a day to go to the beach or McCall or what have you, and people get confused with Memorial Day and Veterans Day. But those people that served and their families know the difference.
Well, that's for sure, Kevin. And I thought about that yesterday. I heard a couple of radio people talking about it on the FM dial, and they were kind of giggling and laughing about, well, what's Memorial Day mean? Ha, ha, ha. And I thought to myself,
why would you be listening to those dummies?
It was a mistake. But I thought to myself, obviously they've never lost anyone who gave their life for the country. They've probably never known anyone who served and came back broken and wounded. At any rate, it's a time to remember those heroes of our country.
Well, and again, that'll be coming up, and we urge people to donate. But getting back to the spirit of Memorial Day, there are a few places. Of course, the State Veterans Cemetery. We've been privileged to be a part of that, where you have the congressional delegation, you have people coming up. But as someone who has served in combat, sometimes realistically not knowing whether or not you're going to come back or not, the idea that people gave everything. They paid the ultimate price. No wedding, no walking their kids down the aisle. That's Memorial Day.
That is Memorial Day.
And that's what we honor. That'll be coming up. And I think that's important that we understand that. Like I said, you have the dizzle and the dazzle going, or confusing the like, and they go, well, you should thank people on Memorial Day for their service. No, you should go to the cemetery and plant a flag or say a prayer for that young man, or even now the young women that don't come back. You know, Dunkirk is a big movie right now, or The Longest Hour. And you watch those movies, and it stresses you out. Imagine being there and not having the Hollywood over dramatic effects, wondering if you're going to come back. You know, they call, and Brokaw termed it the greatest generation. But anyone who did that and served, and in these faraway places, as you did as a young Bill Roscoe.
Well, and there's another movie called We Were Soldiers about the Vietnam War, and that is one of the best stories about the Vietnam War that I've ever seen. The fact of the matter is, Kevin, men and women every day put on the badge, put on the uniform of our country, and stand between good and evil. And many of them have given their lives to our nation's cause, to our freedom. So we're here today talking on the radio, saying whatever we want, going to church where we want, having meetings when we want. That's why these men and women gave their lives, and we need to remember them and honor that memory.
Now, I go back to that movie. By the way, hard to believe, I interviewed the colonel from that movie, played by Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
He's a grumpy guy. But you know, the idea of when the chips are down, and we've gotten away from that in America because we want to be too PC or what have you. But in the military, there's no, well, everybody's feelings. They're trying to get us.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's an excellent point for people that are deployed. And by the way, for the families that their loved ones here in the Treasure Valley or in Mountain Home or at Gowan Field are away, thank you for continuing our great military tradition. Going back to the Minutemen. No, we're not talking about these fictionalized characters, but real live men that could have hung out with the Queen, could have hung out with the Crown, and said, no, I want liberty. Liberty or death. And, you know, what is it, the 4th of July, I think it was Jeff Jacoby from the Boston Globe came out with this piece originally that all the people that signed the Declaration, it didn't end well for them at the end.
No, it did not.
You know, that is the spirit that we look at on Memorial Day, 4th of July, Veterans Day, and all days when we honor America.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Great words that we ought to all take to heart, especially now. And respect those who are serving, and remember those who served and given their lives to our nation's cause.
More coming up next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning here. We'll be here tonight till 7. Do you want to say anything, our friend, the publisher of the Gem State Patriot, Tea Party Bob, joining us now. It's going to take him a minute to get up here. I don't really get this. It's like live radio.
You make it sound like I'm some old guy, for crying out loud.
Well, thank you for your generous donation yesterday, by the way.
Oh, just a bunch of boxes, that's all.
Thank you.
They were empty. I just brought them down here to fool you.
Well, thank you for your service, too, by the way.
Well, thank you
We were talking
very
about
much.
Memorial Day a moment
well,
ago.
it's just around the corner, but I think a lot of people forget about it. They think it's nothing but hot dogs, hamburgers, and a lot of Coke.
And a trip to McCall.
And a trip to McCall. Yeah, I don't see what happens anymore. The way it used to be years ago, there actually was some patriotism, but there seems to be fading slowly but surely with Trump. And I do think it's coming back a bit, but it's ever so slow.
Speaking of slow, so you're going to do a story in the Gem State Patriot about how Brad Little won? You know, we already beat you to the punch on that. We were the first to report that.
I allowed you to beat me to the punch.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I like to give you a break every once in a while.
Gosh knows I need it, sir. Gosh knows I need it.
Yeah, you know, I've known Brad Little for a long time down at the Capitol, and I've had quite a few conversations on and off with him. And I have to tell you that I'm very disappointed that the conservatives here keep stepping on their own toes.
You think that's what it was?
I think it was a big part of it. I think the fact that Tommy Ahlquist stepped into the race at a time that he thought was prime for him and found out that people really didn't want him as much as he thought. For somebody that spent almost $4 million and traveled the state who knows how many times, you would think he would have gotten more of the votes than he did.
Well, maybe it was a tribute to his other contender. Terry, are you going to join us for point counterpoint, or are you going to just sit over there?
No, I'm just keeping tally of votes.
Oh, okay. You're gonna total Tea Party Bob's tally. All right. On the other hand, you had Russ Fulcher that was in the race. He decided to run for Congress. He stepped out. So people thought that cleared the path, but you can't clear the path just because. I mean, who's to decide who runs, whether it's a doctor or a congressman or a lieutenant governor?
No, I think the critical mistake took place, and I do still believe that if Russ Fulcher had run instead of Raul, that there would have been a difference in the race, and I think he would have won because of the name recognition, because of the fact that he had a lot of money behind him.
What if Russ Fulcher had stayed in the race?
I think he would have Brad Little probably would have won again.
Right.
I mean, understand that they put out enormous amounts of money from the IACI group. And I'm talking about a lot of money, not
right.
just for Brad Little, but for a lot of his operatives that are around the state.
But if you can take yourself back here at KIDO Talk Radio, really, and we outlined this a little in between my delusions here at the Walmart parking lot. I hopefully the editor did a good job of editing this blog piece, but really the last 2 weeks, the Little campaign, augmented by their supporters in the media with paid advertising, really won that race.
Well, it was a critical time, and I don't think that the Labrador group responded appropriately, and they should have come back fiercely.
I don't think they could have, though. I think
No, they couldn't because it was too late. They didn't have the time to get the airtime. They
right.
did try. I understand that. But you have to understand, too, that when somebody like IACI and the big lobbyists planned something like this was planned before. This was not something that was spur of the moment.
Sure, but if you're in the Labrador camp, and it's very easy for Tea Party Bob and Kevin Miller to play Monday morning quarterback on KIDO Talk Radio, but you had to have a plan for that contingency. I write in the piece, I say, look, having some guy named David Bossie, nobody in Idaho knows David Bossie from David Bossie. I've known David for years, and the quality of the ad, their biggest advocate should have been the congressman smacking down that ad about being a never-Trumper.
See, but I think it goes deeper than that. It goes back to what I said earlier, is that you have 36,000 state employees. Many of those are teachers. You have a group of firemen that are all union. And when it comes right down to it, both Ahlquist and Labrador threatened their livelihoods when they said they were going to change the bureaucracy. And that is key because that gave them the opportunity to come out and vote their wallet.
But then they made a calculated decision that more people would be in favor of that than the people who wanted to keep their power, their benefits, whatever you want to say.
You're right, essentially, but those people that wanted to see that change did not come out to vote, and they never do. That's why you only thought 34% of the people came out.
However, on the other hand, one could say that the majority of the people did, except it broke three ways.
Well, no, I don't think the three-way break was as important as having the state unions from the teachers, the firemen, and the general people who work for the state, because the state is the largest employer in the state. You have their spouses and you have the employees. That's 70,000
right,
alone.
But they're Republicans.
No, they're not Republicans.
It's a closed primary.
No, they're crony establishment. There's a very big difference between Republicans and crony establishment.
They are Republicans. Terry.
Remember, listeners, Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah, I just get a whisper in my ear. The realtors, they are one of the biggest groups out here who are for the establishment.
Right, but we can vilify these people, or we can go back to the strategy involved. And at the end, it was the strategy. And as I point out in this piece, Brad Little, the lieutenant governor, benefited from the faux incumbency, as we say, because the governor made himself unavailable several times in the last 2 years. Remember the rumor that he was going to abdicate the throne? That never happened. And, he took advantage of that. The earned meeting, he had enough cash on hand, and he worked. Now, again, this is not picking sides. This is just objective analysis.
Well, I try to do the same thing in objective analysis.
Well, no,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying the last week was very critical, and the fact that they lied about Labrador and some of the things that he did, because they were all the things they said came out of context. You know that as well as I do.
Okay, and if you're in the Labrador camp, you should have been prepared for it.
And they weren't, and
With
that's the unfortunate part.
You should have been prepared for it, and to say, and I'm not talking about you, it's not fair, life ain't fair. You and I both know that.
See, that's one of the reasons you hire a strategist when you're going to do things like this and run for office, especially a governor with a three-way race.
More coming up. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio, traffic. And we continue on here. This type of conversation is going to happen throughout the day till 7 o'clock at night. Some would call it contentious. We just call it competitive commentary. Tea Party Bob, Terry from State College, Pennsylvania, Cindy from Caldwell. The magic continues. The celebrities from the Treasure Valley continue to give. Why don't you join the party right here? Where else would you rather be? In the Nampa Walmart, Garrity and Franklin. We're having a great time. Ray and Maya, we appreciate you back at the broadcast center. Our friends George and Austin and all of you that have made a difference. We're day 3 in. We've got 3 more to go. Won't you join us and make a difference? Clothes for Kids. More details at boiserm.org or KIDO Talk Radio. Tea Party Bob, your final thought.
Come on down here and bring those clothes down. Bring some donations. We need the help. Boise Rescue Mission does a wonderful work here in the Treasure Valley. And you're not going to find a better organization to donate to.
Right. It's about nonpartisan, non-political giving. We're all coming together for a hug.
You know me. I'm totally nonpartisan.
And you're cuddly. All right. God bless everyone and keep the faith.